Us wearing wigs because we are embarrassed of our natural hair. Hashtag white in black fields. Imagine if black men had to wear white men hair to feel handsome. White people hair. Would the bundles be saying Brazilian?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay.
Hey guys, it's Julie here. So I'm making this video to talk about the idolization of wigs that exists in the mind of many black and African women. Notice that when I talk about the toxic wig culture on my channel, I get a lot of comments from women saying, I love my natural hair, but I love to wear wigs too. Or why can't we do both? Or, but wearing wigs doesn't mean I hate my hair. I need wigs to grow my hair. Or some just say that I am a natural hair Nazi who wants to dictate what black women can do with their hair. Well, the only Nazi-like behavior I have is finding frontals ugly. I personally want them banned. Sue me. I'm guilty as charged. I think 80% of them look ridiculous and it's very much high maintenance. Sue me. I once modeled for a brand where I had to try frontals on. We spent hours and hours installing it, and the hairline still looked ridiculous when we were done. And I know that there are some that are done very well, or very seamlessly, or very undetectable, or whatever, but let's be honest, many women have wig blindness. They'd rather leave the house looking like this than just comb their own hair to go do something as trivial as going to buy toothpaste from the market. Anyways, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the topic that brings us here. I think a common misconception of my channel and what I talk about is that I have a strong, burning, all-consuming hatred for wigs. I think that's very hilarious and not true at all. If you actually listen to my points when I make these videos, I focus on criticizing certain mindsets, emphasis on mindsets that lead to the idolization of wigs at the expense of natural hair. When women make comments like, I don't want women wearing their natural hair to my event, go wear a wig and actually look good. That is that wig warrior mentality right there. The one that I criticize, that's that wig warrior mentality, okay? Wigs are not the enemy. I've always stood on that. It's the mindset attached to constantly needing them. And I mean wigs that are not in any way, shape, or form like your own hair textures. When you're so dependent on your foreign bundles and there's a kind of shame attached to what your natural hair looks like, and you kind of see these wigs as like extra limbs due to how attached you are to them, it's very hard not to develop the wig warrior mentality as seen with women like this.
What's your take on it?
Your natural hair is good for church programs. Your natural hair is good for when you want to pick your kids at school.
Wow.
Don't bring your natural hair to my event. I have natural hair when I'm wearing a wig. But I don't have to. I can wear my natural hair if I want to go out. If I'm going to the beach, I can wear my natural hair. It's good for the beach. If I'm going to church, it's okay. Do you get what I'm saying? If I'm going to pick maybe going to play with my niece, it's cool. If I'm in my house, it's okay. But why would I want to wear a nice ass dress, expensive dress, expensive heels? At least I'll do ponytail.
So women wear wigs every day around the year and none of these wigs are ever in her hair texture. Now, she could sit here and say, oh, I love my hair. I just wear wigs as a hobby. But it's kind of evident that that's not quite the truth. If you love something, you want to be seen with it. You want to show it off, even if just once in a while, And even if the length was the issue and you just want long hair, you are actually proud to wear extensions with similar textures to what you've got, even if just once in a while. And you most certainly don't talk down on other people with similar features that you claim to love. That is that wig warrior mentality when you do that. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What's the difference between a wig wearer and a wig warrior? Now, there are two types of women who wear wigs, and I mean black women. There is the woman who likes a bit of variety to her looks. She wears wigs occasionally and she loves to express herself through the different ways she presents herself. She sees the beauty of her own textured hair and has a deep pride and admiration for it that doesn't allow her to partake in the strange behavior of asking random Asian women to give her some locks of their precious hair so she can turn it into a bundle and attach to her head. A wig warrior is the antithesis of this. She has a deep inferiority complex when it comes to her hair and its texture. She may project that feeling of dissatisfaction onto other women by asking them to, quote unquote, do their hair even when their natural hair is adequately styled, because to her, doing hair can only mean wig or something resembling one. She'll make all the excuses about why her hair is impossible to deal with, but salivate at the thought of foreign textured bundles. Are wigs the enemy? I think the main difference between a wig wearer and a wig warrior is that a wig warrior has grown into having some sort of dysmorphia when it comes to her own hair. I know some women wear wigs because they have damage or health issues that make their hair not grow. But the thing is, some wig warriors may have a healthy or decent looking head of hair under the wigs for now. But they never let it see the sunlight because they believe it's simply not good enough to outdo their straight wigs. Trust me, I get having an aesthetic. So women love to have a particular style about them. For example, the clean look. The clean, minimal aesthetic girlies may like to have a slick back. They may like to have a slick back look as their signature style because they feel like it's what best suits their essence. And I'm in support of finding your own pretty, your own essence. In fact, I did a breakdown of the different aesthetics you can lean into in my video titled "You're Not a Baddie and That's Okay." So it's like, if you like to wear wigs to go with whatever style you find yourself leaning towards, that's great. Even in that video, when I talked about the dark feminine aesthetic, I gave examples of hairstyles that emphasize that look, and wigs were there. I've never been a burn all wigs comrade. Wigs have their purposes, I believe. I just think the wig warriors abuse these purposes. A wig is meant to be an accessory, a style option, not a necessity, not something that should elevate your status. I remember when my cousin was graduating from the uni and she reached out to me to ask what hairstyle she could do because she had just started wearing her natural hair, right? She said something along the lines of, "I need to look very good though. All the other girls have already bought their own hairs. What will I do with my hair?" It was just said so normally and casually because it's very normal and expected for a very great percentage of women to be quote unquote wearing hair to these types of occasions, and we all know what those hairs look like. The girls who didn't wear new or revamped wigs and did alternate hairstyles were likely seen as broke. As she spoke, I knew that underlying fear of being seen as broke was there. She wanted a wig because she wanted to fit in. And that's how you know that it's quite disingenuous for Black or African women to pretend like there is not a toxic wig culture. Not to shame anyone or cast aspersions, but many a wig are in sight publicly because many a woman have damaged or neglected hair. If you walk into these types of events, chances of seeing a woman with these hair types and styles are not that high. It is making a comeback though. Women are starting to care for their hairs and wanting to invest in it. But like I say, the ratio is very imbalanced, and that in itself is telling that there is a toxic wig culture. Many women who are addicted to wigs grew an addiction because they thought they simply looked better in it. Era of lace fronts, the wigs then destroyed their hairlines and they realized they had to stay locked in to hide the damage, and thus the cycle of overdependence on wigs. The same can be said with tight protective styles. I knew a woman who used to make long braids back to back to back. Her hair was never not in that style till she started losing her hair. Then she would still make the braids but manipulate the braids in a way to hide the gaps, and even till now she's still dependent on it to hide the damage. So when I say wigs should be treated as accessories, I mean you can use them but not to the detriment of your own hair, because that's what creates the mindset that a wig will always and forever be superior to your hair, because you're investing so much in these wigs but not doing the same to your hair. Whatever it is you pour your energy, your time, your money, and your admiration and love into is exactly what you hold to a high place in your life. If you don't do the same, it just makes sense. Like if you're pouring all that time, effort, energy, loving, and everything you have into your wigs and not your hair, it just shows which one you value the most. There is no two ways about it. When I see braids with all these harmful extra steps, like soaking the canacolon along with the hair in boiling water, it's the same vibe. Or when I see these hairdressers who use fire to burn the flyaways, and the whole time those flyaways are your actual hair, that's dumb. You're actually ruining your hair because of some temporary hairstyles. That just shows a lack of care when it comes to your own natural hair. And I think wig addiction is different in that it makes you put hair that belongs to someone else from a different race on a pedestal. I mean, at least braids are ethnic styles, even if they can destroy your hair too. But the whole, "Now listen, white man, I don't like your hair, okay? It's Chinese hair that I love," and thinking you ate is just absurd. The wig warrior is the woman who puts her child in a lace front. There is no reason for this, no excuse. Your 2-year-old is not quote-unquote exploring aesthetics by gluing a wig down. You're not protective styling your toddler's hair when you wear a frontal on them. As far as I'm concerned, it's like wearing a bra on a baby. Completely pointless and weird. It's very strange how this is becoming a trend, and acting like it's not a problem is a choice. A wig warrior is already relaxing, pressing, flattening, and then sewing a wig onto a little black girl's head at a young, delicate, and impressionable age. A wig warrior is that woman who thinks that it's just normal for a child to wear wigs. A wig warrior is the woman that takes her child to the salon for these unnecessary procedures. Where are the kid-friendly hairstyles? Hello? And I honestly believe if your child is under 1 year old, this is not needed or necessary. Please, let her live. Let her breathe. Spare the child. Look at these children, beautiful budding coils, and all their moms fantasize about is covering them up with foreign wigs, putting all their glues, adhesive, and heat on the struggling, kicking, screaming child. I know they are not making the toddlers wear these crazy headbands to bed to keep their laces down. Oh my days, oh my days, oh my days. Isn't that such a crazy statement? Ma'am, do you make your toddler wear a hairline headband to keep her lace laid at night? This is crazy. What was the reason? I don't care what occasion it is. This is brain rot. This is the wig warrior ways. The frontal felon foolishness. This is what I criticize. And it's funny because they go to war behind these decisions. You can't tell a wig warrior that this is wrong. She just wants her child to look pretty, she'll say. This is an obsession, a sick, sick obsession. A wig warrior is not just self-hating. She projects that onto other women. These are the women that see you wearing your natural hair to an event and say something like, "Oh, are you broke? Why didn't you do your hair?" Whole time you just spent like an hour styling your natural hair to look pretty. They find it so ridiculous that you can genuinely like your hair even though they have hair like yours under the wigs. They are so accustomed to seeing themselves with those wigs on and so used to the hair type being disliked that they feel the need to talk down on you for liking something they allowed society convince them was ugly. In fact, they have now become the same society they claimed instilled these feelings in them and have now taken on the mission of trying to condition people into finding textured hair undesirable. When I come for the toxic wig culture, I'm criticizing the culture that allows black women proudly flex another woman's hair like it gives them a status boost. You can tell a person is a wig warrior from their tone deafness and absurd thinking when it comes to all things wigs. Now, this post of a person on Twitter says, "Imagine if black men had to wear white men's hair to feel handsome." And here comes this Twitter user going, "Well, it's Brazilian hair we love and adore, as if that's an own, and that makes it any better." It's funny because if tomorrow Brazilian women were to say something like, "Oh, you wear our hair because you don't like yours," they might find a way to flip it and say, "Well, it's actually Vietnamese hair we like, not yours." That's that wig warrior mindset. No shame, no pride, no dignity.
People get their eyebrows microbladed to look like us. People get eyelash extensions to look like us. People get hair extensions to look like us. And I can continue to go down this list, but I think it's time for us to stand up and finally enter our villain era.
Do not judge, mock, look down on, or make fun of women struggling with hair growth. Never. I think it's a journey to finding what works for you in terms of hair care. Many of us grew up without that guidance. Many are still learning and figuring it out. Like I said, wigs should be an accessory, not an extra limb. I went over these points in my video titled "The Bitter Truth About Human Hair Wigs," and even in my infamous "Don't Bring Your Natural Hair to My Event" video. In one sentence, I will sum up this video. My main critique of the wig culture has always been around when we outrightly put down our own natural hair to worship them. I've only had an issue with the wig when it promotes texturism. The downsides. So what's the solution? I'm not saying black women should not wear wigs or that all women that wear wigs hate themselves. A wig wearer may wear wigs while still respecting her hair and liking her texture and not being out here trying to flex with someone else's hair. You're not doing what you think you're doing. It's not an own to say, "Oh, we don't like your hair, we like those other people's hair." Okay, it's even worse when it's women from poorer countries whose hair you're flexing, because most times those women are selling their hairs out of desperation or are not even being compensated well for it. Or it's possibly hair dropped for ritualistic purposes at a temple that was collected to make the wigs. That being said, I still believe that wigs are not a bad innovation in of themselves. I even say that to grow your hair as a kinky textured girly, you need days when your hair is tucked away nicely in a protective style. And I'm not going to sit here and act like your hair is presentable to show the world every day. Some days are just not great hair days. Your hair may be doing the most or doing the least, and you need something to cover it with, or it just needs a break. Now, what kind of wig you use for your protective styles can make or break your hair. Like I said, not all quote unquote protective styles actually protect the hair. There is this TikTok that went viral but got taken down of white women posing for a selfie with a text over the video that says, "Us wearing wigs because we are embarrassed of our hair. Hashtag whites in black fields." And it's like, what do you even say as a rebuttal to that when you come to the World Wide Web and see black women proclaiming their hair type to be the worst, trying to own one ethnicity by taking pride in wearing another ethnicity's hair? Oh yeah, that will show Rebecca that you prefer Muyuri's hair, not yours. How do you argue with this when you see videos like this with people defending it? That's that wig warrior mentality. I feel like, honestly, black women are allowed to have their struggles. I get it. I had my days when I was clueless, but it's very jarring that there is some kind of pride, ironically, in the way they talk about hating their textures. It's like, yeah, I said what I said and I'm proud of it. I wished I had this girl's texture instead of my ugly, horrible one. And when all else fails, they say, "Oh, I was just joking," or "Oh, you don't give black women grace," or "Oh, society made me this way. I'm so hashtag misunderstood." Ugh. I have so many other videos reiterating my issue with the wig culture, and even in my ladies, maybe it's time to pull down the lace fronts video, I still said wigs are not the enemy, but there is obviously a propaganda to keep black women from liking or trying to learn their own hairs, and this is because we're, after all, the biggest consumers of wigs. And even when they say that argument of other women of other races wear wigs, it's disproven, because even when a white woman wears a lace front that matches her hair, they say she's trying to be black because she wears a wig. When she wears wigs that are not blended properly due to her inexperience, they say, "Oh, it looks a mess." This just shows that the expertise and seriousness with which black women have learned wigs, how to pass it off and feel ownership and pride over it, has become a culture. That's that wig warrior mentality. Anyways, I hope that I have been able to convince and not confuse that wig wearers and wig warriors are not the same. There are similarities, but there are even more disparities. So you be the one to decide. Are you a wig wearer or a wig warrior? Or maybe a recovering wig warrior? An ex-wig addict? Love you guys, and I'll see you in my next one. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye!